Good morning, everybody. That's awesome. I hope you're all that energetic after the party tonight for tomorrow's first sessions. Thank you for coming. The session that you're at is Jamf and Google leveraging BeyondCorp for zero trust across the entire Apple ecosystem. Just a few housekeeping notes this year for Q&A. We're doing Q&A through the app, so make sure you go to the JNUC 2023 app, Q&A on the side, and we'll be moderating those questions for our presenters. And with that, I'm really excited to introduce three organizations excited to talk to you about BeyondCorp today. We've got Jamf, Google, and our common customer, Akatsuki, to join us to tell us more. So let's give them a round warm of applause and welcome them to the stage.
Everyone can hear me? Perfect. My name is Prashant Jain. I'm part of product management team at BeyondCorp Enterprise at Google.
And I'm Travis Senor. I'm part of the product management team at Jamf, serving on the Jamf Pro side.
Hello everyone, my name is Fumiaki Tokuyama. I am Director of IT at Akatsuki.
Hello, my name is Yukishiro Kora. I work as engineer in the same IT department as Fumiaki.
So I think you guys can have a seat. So here is the quick agenda that we will be going through. We want to spend bulk of the time with the customer Akatsuki, but Travis and I will start the kick the conversation off to give you a little bit background on what is BeyondCorp, what is the integration we have, and how customers use it. But we'll keep bulk of the time for the customer to kind of go through those. So that is the agenda for us, starting with what is BeyondCorp, what are the use cases, and then spending more and more time what the integration is, and then spending time with the customer use case. So I'll kick it off with a quick introduction to BeyondCorp Enterprise. Before I go into BeyondCorp Enterprise, I would quickly say that Google has multiple integrations with Jamf. So if you are here today and you are in the booths, you will have a Chrome booth. There are people from Chronicle, Stacy's here, I'm here. So if you have any questions about how Google overall integrates with Jamf, what is the Chrome integration with Jamf, what is the Chronicle integration with Jamf, we are here to answer those questions. This session is more focused on BeyondCorp Enterprise, but no, we have more integrations with Jamf. So starting with what is BeyondCorp Enterprise first. So BeyondCorp Enterprise is Google's zero trust solution. Right, at a very high level, this is secure enterprise browsing. What it means are the basic principles of secure enterprise browsing is, first, it should be least privileged access that any user needs. Second, any access should be with the awareness of what is the context of the user, what is the context of the device that the user is trying to access. The third principle here is it has to be a continuous authorization. It is not that you log the user in once and you are not going to check the posture of the device or the user for hours or days. Right? An example is basically if you have a user who logged in from North America and all of a sudden that user within few minutes is logging from a completely different geographic region, that has to raise some suspicion. So each access has to be informed with context, where the user is coming from, what, the context of the device, is the device secure or not, right? So there are three big capabilities when we talk about or principles when we talk about BeyondCorp, right? That there are 6 capabilities underlying those 3 principles. So I'm going to go through all of those fairly quickly. The first one is zero trust. Every access should be understand the context of the request coming in, right? So that's the first part. So we use Chrome to apply a very detailed security posture assessment from where this request is coming from. And you can set those rules within admin console within Google, saying if the user is coming from a device without any encryption turned on or without screensaver turned on, these are the only apps or capabilities this user can access. So you can have very granular controls there. As an example, you can say if a user is trying to access a sensitive app and they have to have a certificate on that device. So that's one example. The second capability is the data loss protection. We want to make sure when the users are now working remotely, they're working from anywhere, accessing all of these web applications, you have to protect the crown jewels. You have to protect the data that you have. So how do you do that? So with BeyondCorp Enterprise, you can set, again, very granular rules around data loss protection. What is this user authorized to access and what they are not authorized to access, right? So is the user allowed to download or print from the browser? Or is the user allowed to copy and things like that, right? So that's first level of control, but you can go even more granular. You can say based on the contents of the data, user is allowed to do this or user is allowed to do that. Third thing you can do within that is these data loss protection rules are context aware. So you can say a user coming from a managed device can download, upload, but user coming from an unmanaged device is not allowed none of that. So that is data loss protection in brief. The third capability is how do you protect these users, right? You want to protect the users as well against phishing attacks or any malicious websites they may inadvertently end up visiting. So for that, we have built a complete pipeline from reputation checks, static analysis, dynamic analysis. So that allows us to mitigate any of the zero-day attack vectors as well, right? Because that is the easiest way for perpetrators to get inside your network. So having that complete pipeline allows you to check the reputation of the website user is going, and if this is new website, we can do analysis on that website with the static and dynamic analysis. The next capability is the Chrome capabilities with respect to the extensions, right? So there are more than 150,000 extensions on Chrome. So if you have that many extensions, you would want to control what users are allowed to install, what users are not allowed to install, and what extensions should be forced to install on those users. So you can do all of that, irrespective of whatever operating system user is on. Finally, insights, right? Yesterday at the keynote, we heard you cannot protect what you can't see. So that is very true. So what insights give you is a very detailed visibility into Chrome that is managed by you. So what the user is doing, what they are downloading, what they're uploading, because these are enterprise devices, so you have visibility, and you need visibility because majority of the users today, almost 71% of their time is spent in the web apps today, right? Because we know almost a third of the workforce is now permanently remote. 50% is in a hybrid fashion, right? So this is very important. Now, how you bring all of this together? So that is policy management, right? So we talked about CBCM, Chrome Browser Cloud Management yesterday. Very easy to turn on, and that allows you to manage all of these policies from one location, right? So quickly going over some of the context-aware access pieces, right? So I talked about zero trust has to be context-aware. What is the context? So these are all the different context that user can have. Right, so the user can have context about which region they are coming, the user is coming from, what is the posture of the device, right? What are any of the threat vectors we have seen on that device? So the context is informed by all of those. And part of this is the Chrome collects those telemetry for an enterprise managed Chrome solution to give administrators visibility and allow you to set the rules. So Chrome is coming in from this version of Chrome, the request is coming in from this version of Chrome, or this is the state of the device, so you have that visibility, and then you can set up the policy. If the device is without an encryption turned on, do not allow access. Right, but now we want to take it a step further because you have made investment outside Chrome as well in your complete security stack. And very important part of that is our partnership with Jamf. So you can take these security posture assessment signals across your entire security stack and use that as a context within Chrome. So that brings us to the next slide. Right, so here what we are showing is a user is coming in from any type of device. We are taking an Apple device as an example here, and Jamf is managing that device. So you can define now a very granular set of policies, and Travis is going to go into the details. But once Jamf says this device is compliant from the principles you have set on the Jamf, only then allow this user access to my critical systems or sensitive data. For lunch ordering, I don't care, let the user go. So you can set up very granular policies from that perspective. So what we do is we get those signals from Jamf. Every request that comes through, not just one time, every request that comes through, we look for that context, and if only that context passes the conditions you have set in the admin console within Chrome, the access is allowed to go through. Right. So I will not spend too much time, but just reiterating some of the core principles for Zero Trust. BC is designed to assure user identity. We have very strong authentication and identity management. And we make sure that the users are authorized. They're coming in with the right security posture assessment from the device. And if the request meets those conditions, then they are allowed access and they go through. So with that, I'll pass it over to Travis.
Thank you, Prashant. Let's give a round of applause to Prashant. So it's really been fun to see how our partnership has grown over the years and the problems Jamf and Google together are solving to enable not only the admin, but also ensuring the end users has a trusted and seamless experience as well. This is a nice snapshot of the value Jamf and Google has delivered to value. And as you can see, Jamf and Google have a number of different integration points, and it's not slowing down at all. And we're excited for rapidly continuing to innovate. So today, as we're hearing about the Zero Trust framework, this ties directly into the journey of Jamf Trusted Access. For the use case of the Jamf and Google integration, at the end of the day, organizational decision makers and admins must have confidence that approved users on secure devices are accessing Google services. This leads into the first pillar of the sorry, this is going down. There we go. So this leads into the first pillar of the trusted access, which is managing your Apple devices at Jamf. Customers have shared that having solid management is critical. Jamf, of course, agrees, and it's important that with enrollment, organizations are not missing out on the Google security framework either. It just simply works. And so as we look at for the BYOD side of the things too, we want to make sure that devices that they're not treated any different than your institutionally owned devices. It's important that if you have an end user that's bringing a BYOD device, they're getting the same treatment as well for security and compliance. And with Jamf in the account-driven user enrollment workflows and that process and getting the devices enrolled securely and partnering with Google to have that seamless Google security framework. So moving into how approved users gain access to their company resources, with Jamf and Google BeyondCorp integration, the first step is device enrollment and user registration. And depending on whether the device is macOS or iOS will determine the journey that the end user will take and for the device to be compliant or not. So for macOS, the Jamf and BeyondCorp integration leverages the Google Chrome extension. And for iOS experience, it's driven through iOS and Google account. And so as you can see in the diagram, the user will register. Let's say one of the compliance calculations that is utilized by the Jamf Pro Smart Groups is for you need a passcode on the device and you need the device to be managed. So as it's going through the compliance calculation, we'll send to Google Cloud whether the device is compliant, yes or no, and then depending on the criteria, if it's met, they'll get access to company resources, and vice versa. If it's not company resources, we block to the end user with a really seamless way to remediate and become compliant again so they can regain that access to company resources. So here's another representation of the process when using a macOS device and being granted access to Google Workspace applications. Again, registration for macOS leverages Google Chrome's verification extension. The compliance calculation is handled by Jamf Pro Smart Groups. And if the criteria is met, access to company resources is available. And if not, those Google apps will be blocked for the end user. Again, providing a streamlined experience to help remediate the end user so they can start being productive again and have access to their Google apps. And one thing I want to mention too, so last year in JNUC, we announced that the availability for iOS support was going to be coming in 2023, and very happy and pleased to announce that we delivered iOS support in April of this year. And this was a really major milestone for not only Jamf and Google, but more importantly for our customers and prospects, because they can now leverage this integration on the full Apple platform. So looking into how this experience works on iOS, you see the end user is attempting to access their email via Gmail. And so they will be prompted in entering in their username, and then the password, which is very secure for a demo. And then you'll see that they are blocked access because they are not compliant. And so they are provided with a pop-up that shows them that how to remediate. So they go to self-service and click on compliance and go through the registration process. And because they've already authenticated with Gmail, we leverage the SSO extension so they will automatically be able to go through that registration process through Google account. And then now you can see that they also have access to their company resources after maintaining compliance. So next, I want to bring along our folks from Akatsuki. And so here is Fumiaki and Yukihiro.
Travis, thank you for the introduction. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us so early in the morning. Now, we would like to tell you our story. But first of all, I have to say something. Unfortunately, our English is not very good, but we'll do our best. Today, I speak with this note. The smartphone should help me. Sorry for using Android at JNUC. And thank you for Google. Okay. I will share about our company. Before we talk about BeyondCorp Enterprise, I would like to first give you an idea of what we do and what size company we are. Akatsuki is a Japanese entertainment company founded in 2010. We have been focusing on smartphone game development and operation. Currently, we not only develop games, but also on a Web10 platform, a VTuber for kids, and an investment fund. Akatsuki has successfully developed several hit titles in the highly competitive gaming market. These are just a few examples. Some of the games are distributed worldwide, including in the US. Although we couldn't include them here, so some of you may be familiar with them. For as the title, please scan the QR code and refer to the website. Also, Akatsuki Games, a subsidiary of Akatsuki, develops next-generation game development platforms with the aim of becoming a top 3D game development company. There is also a demo video recently released as a 3D game development platform, which is also introduced here. You can refer to it from the QR code. Next, here are some figures about our company. We currently manage about 2,400 accounts for the entire group. This includes cases where we don't provide devices but only accounts. Most of the SaaS services we use are managed by SSO. So we need to issue accounts even when members or partner companies use only some of our systems. The number of devices is 1,300 for macOS, 1,000 for iOS, iPadOS, 400 for Windows, and 700 for Android. Basically, macOS devices are used. 75% of employees use macOS. Windows devices are used only when necessary for business purposes, such as by accounting and creators. Mobile devices such as iPhone and Android are mainly used for verification of services and development. Next, I would like to introduce you to our IT service team. There are 16 members in the entire team, 9 to operation, 7 to IT strategic planning. Operation is in charge of help desk, preparation of PCs to be provided, management of equipment, and management of licenses. IT strategic planning is in charge of SaaS implementation, operation, and improvement. So far, I have introduced you to what our company and team are all about. From here, Yukihiro will talk about the background of the introduction and the key points in introducing BeyondCorp Enterprise.
Thank you, Fumiaki. I will explain from here. Also, I use Note. Oh, I do use iPad. Let me start by explaining the background behind the creation of the need for Zero Trust. We have been using Google Drive, Gmail, and other Google services since inception. We had already partially implemented context-aware access, but needed to expand its application as we transitioned to remote work during the COVID-19. The process of setting up company-owned devices as a condition of access for context-aware access was very tedious. So I turned to Google BeyondCorp. By linking device information in Jamf Pro with Google BeyondCorp, you can easily determine that access is coming from a company-managed device and use that information to provide an enhanced level of security with context-aware access. The enterprise plan of Google Workspace requires no additional investment, so please consider adopting it. So I would like to give some advice to those who the considering implementing it. Number one, just setting it up has no impact on the user. BeyondCorp setting can be configured in the background without affecting normal operations. It only includes device information until you add it as one of the access level choices for context-aware access. Number two, easy to start small. You can filter target users by group or organizational division. So you can first check the operation by applying it only to yourself. After that, it can be expanded to include teams and departments. So even if a problem occurs, it can be dealt with as soon as possible. Number three, no need to ask user to do anything special. There are a few steps required to implement BeyondCorp setting, such as installing Chrome Enterprise and endpoint verification add-on. However, there is almost no need for the user to take any action. The only operation required is to restart the PC. So if you have your PC shut down every day, you don't need to ask for anything. After that, you can apply it at this timing as long as you let everyone know that it will be implemented. Finally, I will introduce the compliance criteria this we have actually set. Akatsuki's definition of compliance is as follows. Case of macOS. Number one, OS version greater than or equal 11. Number two, system integrity protection is enabled. Number three, Firebolt 2 status is not no partitions encrypted. Number four, EDR version is not error. Number five, firewall status is not disabled. This criteria checks the OS version, which is a requirement of BeyondCorp, and ensures that security is maintained. Next, case of iOS. Number one, OS version greater than or equal 15. Number two, jailbreak detected is no. Number three, I would also like to set the passcode status, but BYO devices cannot detect the passcode status. So I set a passcode in the configuration profile. That's all for explanation. Thanks for listening. I hope this information will be helpful in your work. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone so much. That was a great presentation. Just a reminder, we've got some time for Q&A. Again, please use the JNUC 2023 app. Click the Q&A button on the top left. Scroll through a bunch of sessions until you find this one. But we do have some great questions already. And we do also have a translator joining us if you have a question specifically for the customer as well. All right. Well, I've got a few for you. Prashant, I'm going to send this one to you first. It sounds like we've got a customer that leverages VMs, and they're curious about leveraging certificates on their virtual machines as part of context-aware access?
I have one word answer: supported. Meet me, ask me these questions. Many customers are using it, so it works very seamlessly. You can roll those certificates out by any MDM of your choice that you are basically managing those images and all of that. And the user only has to join the protected profile, managed profile. Once user joins managed profile, we can see the certificates, and we can basically update the status security posture assessment of the VM saying, we see the certificate on this VM. There are other ways as well, but that is definitely supported.
Awesome. Got a question for, I guess, Travis, Prashant, or myself, I guess whoever wants to answer it. It seems like Google wants to be the one MDM to rule them all. How have Jamf and Google worked together to make sure that devices can enroll into Jamf and send security posture to Google?
I will take the first answer, and then I would love your thoughts here as well. I would have a different opinion. I would say Google actually wants to democratize zero trust more than anything. I am part of BeyondCorp Enterprise, and I'm very proud to say we are working with partners across the board. Like, for obvious reasons, I will not name the partners, but we do integrate with all the major MDM vendors of choice. Jamf has very special place in our hearts, but we do integrate with all the MDM vendors. So this is not the case of Google ruling them all. Travis or Sam, you wanna?
Yeah, I was going to say, when setting up the integration, spend a lot of time in the universal settings pane in the Google Admin Console and just familiarize yourself with how you tell Google to enroll a device and when to say, don't worry about it, let another MDM handle it. But it takes planning, for sure. Question for Akatsuki. Do you currently run any internal tools in AWS, and are you protecting them with BeyondCorp? And I guess, Prashant, that'd be a follow-up to you.
AWS は我々は今のところまだビヨンドコープでの管理はしてないです。
We're not managing AWS under BeyondCorp as of now.
And Prashant, do you want to speak on how people could do that, if that's important for them?
Yes, absolutely. So I actually skipped over one of the slides, I think in interest of time, but maybe we don't have that here. So one of the things I want to emphasize is your apps could be running anywhere. So you could have your applications running in AWS, Azure, GCP. They are protected the same way with BeyondCorp Enterprise. So here is the slide. So I wanted to spend more time on the customer use case, but let me quickly spend maybe a minute on this. Right. So what the slide is showing you is end-to-end connectivity with BeyondCorp Enterprise. So Chrome basically allows all your users and routes the traffic where you need it to be routed, right? So basically your applications could be running in AWS, it could be running in Azure, it could be your private apps, it could be your SaaS apps, doesn't matter. We provide the same data protection, threat protection, access control, and acceptable use policy for all those applications, private applications, as well as SaaS applications.
Excellent. Great. Another question for Travis, Prashant, perhaps. And the answer might be security is a team sport, but I'm curious, when we think about BeyondCorp on iOS, how do you think about handling apps that use the built-in browser or Safari for authentication?
So at this time, we support, we can manage the security posture within Chrome, right? So what we recommend to a lot of our customers is customers can use any browsers for rest of the things, but when it comes to protecting your crown jewels, where you want to protect your users, where you want to protect your data, those accesses can be easily enforced to come through Chrome. For rest of the things the user is doing, they can use any browser of their choice. But if they are trying to access the data, the code, or setting up SSH, RDP sessions, so those have to basically be managed and allowed through the posture assessment that Chrome provides. So that is basically a high-level answer on that, but I can go through a lot of details. I will be here. If you have any questions, I can answer those as well.
Excellent. Follow-up question. It was mentioned by Akatsuki that they set up SSO for all of their applications. I guess, Prashant, another question for you. Is SSO, do all your apps need to be SSO capable in order to work with BeyondCorp Enterprise?
So it doesn't need to be SSO capable. We do some other partnerships as well, but that is typically a majority of the use case. Like for SAML assertions are basically a primary way a lot of our customers implement the SaaS applications, but there are other ways as well, and we do have other partnerships to support that. So more than happy to respond to that, but we do integrate with some of the IDPs to do the token translations or support multiple different ways to authenticate a user besides just single sign-on.
Excellent. And last question, Prashant, you're very popular right now. For SaaS apps like Zoom, Slack, et cetera, does BCE only protect it if they are accessed via browser versus desktop apps, or where is the line?
So that's a great question. So as I said, right, we basically started investing in Zero Trust, and this goes like 2015 and even before that. Google published a series of paper, what is Zero Trust, what should be the Zero Trust, and that is really what started the Zero Trust transformation in the industry. One of the things Google realized is there is a huge transformation where customers are moving towards web apps, and that's where we are starting our journey. We basically protect web apps first. If you have thick clients, there are ways. We, again, right, as I said, we do partner and integrate with a lot of different vendors, so there are ways for us to implement those solutions. Come by, stop by, and I can talk through those.
Yeah, and very much security is a team sport. And so you're all probably familiar with other Jamf solutions for things outside of just the browser as well. But again, security is a team sport, so I'd certainly encourage any of you that are in the Google ecosystem, chat with your Google sales teams, chat with the BeyondCorp teams to learn more about all the capabilities.
And stop by the Chrome browser booth today if you want some Dino pins, Dino keychains. There's a lot of swag there from Google.
Awesome. Any last comments from anyone? Oh. I see it now. Okay. We've got a question for Akatsuki. What were some of the challenges you had when developing your context-aware access rules? It's a good question.
コンテキストアウェアアクセスを入れる際に、どの端末、どの OS をカバーしなきゃいけないのかという、パターンを洗い出すところに注力しました。
When we set up the context-aware rule, we tried to decide which device and which OS is going to be covered. We had to spend time figuring out what kind of pattern that we need to create.
Actually, I would like to add to that, like what I have heard, because as a product manager, we talk to a lot of customers and we hear a lot of their journeys and feedback for us. What I have heard from customers is their typical journey is starting with visibility first. Like as Akatsuki mentioned, that you don't need to roll it out to the whole company. You find small groups, get the onboard the people, kind of get them aligned, find those small use cases, start rolling those out. But you don't even need to, you can start with visibility mode only. So you basically say, I want to enroll and I want to turn this Jamf integration on, as an example. And at this point, you are not enforcing any access controls. All the users are allowed access. But you are starting to see the inventory show up in the admin console. What are my users? What their machines look like? What is the posture of them? And now if you start thinking about, if I put Jamf compliant as a rule, how many of my users will be logged out? What communications I need to send us proactively? And are those communications taking effect? am I seeing the change in the numbers? So that is a lot of the journeys. What I hear from the customers, they start with visibility, they find some small use cases, they start enforcing those, get the experience before they start rolling it out much broader.
Awesome. Really great questions. Let's give a big round of applause for Jamf, Google, and Akatsuki. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. We were also handing out Chrome stickers at the door. If you didn't get one, try to get one, or go down to the Chrome booth.